Yeah, I expect Jakob to be gone.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, I want to briefly talk about Jakob Poeltl because I don't talk about him a lot. So as it stands right now, big shout out to Ty Yeager. They actually got this from Marc Stein, and I tried to click on this, but obviously paywall. But according to Marc Stein, he says to expect the Spurs to receive even more calls now for Jakob Poeltl. He notes that various teams were expressing interest in Poeltl back before the trade deadline. Now, we do know about this. As you guys remember, we talked about it before, that the Bulls wanted Jakob. The Spurs, in return, they wanted a first-round pick and a good player. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm going to assume that the Bulls still want a piece of that Jakob Poeltl, okay? The Charlotte Hornets was another team that asked about him. And as we know, the Toronto Raptors. Now, Charlotte Hornets might be in a different situation now. I don't necessarily think that they need a Jakob, but they were a team that wanted them nonetheless. So with that being said, the San Antonio Spurs are looking for a first-round pick, and they're looking for a good player. That's originally what they were looking for. Me personally, okay, me just being a fan here, I'm okay with a first-round pick. Getting a good player out of it is fine. That's ideal. But for the most part, I'm sure the Spurs kind of think differently now than they did back then. I don't know if they were necessarily expecting DeJounte Murray to, want to trade. But not only that, things just change, okay? Things change after getting where you were going to be in this upcoming lottery, not being able to really trade up, or probably not even thinking that it's worth trading up and just using your 3 picks in the first round. I think that the Spurs are in a slightly different position now. Not only that, when I look at Jakob Poeltl, because a lot of people are like, why don't you just pay Jakob? Well, I'm not crazy about talking about the timeline necessarily, because I think for some players, especially a player like Jakob that's more of a role player, I don't really care too much about the timeline, but that is something that needs to be addressed. But not only that, this upcoming season, you don't want to get nothing out of it, because when it's all said and done, are you really going to pay Jakob much money after this season? Probably not. I don't mean to talk bad about Jakob. I really do like Jakob Poeltl, but at the same time, he's slightly expendable. If I'm just being real, he's the type of player that you can get around the league if you wanted to. This upcoming season, you could easily just send him to a team that's a little bit more established. Him going to the Bulls makes the most sense right now, only because they need somebody who is a shot blocker like Jakob. They're going into obviously a playoff situation, and he's played with DeMar DeRozan. Everything makes sense. It lines up for Chicago Bulls for them to be the ones to take him out of our hands. And yeah, I think that he will be pretty happy there. But as it stands, I don't really see Jakob as part of the future. Another thing about Jakob too is the one player that I think utilized Jakob the best, or more so, and this is the reason why I didn't necessarily want Jalen Duren, is because I think that Jakob Poeltl fits more for DeJounte Murray. Like, DJ really utilizes screens like crazy. I mean, he's one of the top in the league in screens. Jakob Poeltl, I believe he's top 4 in screen assists. So Jakob Poeltl is a crazy screener. I don't necessarily think that Josh Primo necessarily will need Jakob Poeltl in that regard. Like, obviously you need a screener, okay? Everyone needs a good screener. But are you willing to pay that extra amount of bucks to have Jakob, who does some things that you could probably find around the league? I don't know. I don't think that that's worth it. Not only that, the Spurs adding big men to the roster already with Dom Barlow. Hopefully he can get some minutes. You kind of sit back and question, is it worth it? Is it worth paying Jakob Poeltl whatever more he's going to ask for? And I don't know. I don't know if you pay him 13, 14 million, if he's going to necessarily outplay that contract. Not really. So all I'm trying to say is I think it makes complete sense for the San Antonio Spurs to let go of Jakob and try to get some first round picks out of it. Not only that, I mentioned Jalen Duren. The reason why I didn't want Jalen Duren is because I felt as if that would have spoke as complacency when it comes to the Spurs. Jalen Duren is a good player, and he's going to be a good player, I think, in the NBA. But at the same time, he's pretty limited in what he's going to be, in my opinion. He can be more, but in my opinion. And with that being said, if he's kind of stuck in what he's going to be, he's more of a player that you would have picked up that's going to fit more of a role rather than a player that has like stupid potential or could be, something more than a rim runner, defender, rebounder. And I think that you can find that around the league if you want. And even if you think of like big men that are like superstar big men, they kind of have some of those qualities anyway. So I don't know. It just didn't really matter to me too much. But yeah, I think that the Spurs are going to try to get something good out of it. According to Marc Stein, that's definitely the case. So we'll sit back and wait. But yeah, you let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll give it to you later. If you want to support the channel, only $2 per month, Patreon and YouTube links below. Until next time, deuces.